We were doing our daily read-throughs of the script. Everything was going smooth. And one day we came in, and Orrin was gone. Just vanished. And Alan Payne was standing there, wearing all the same clothes, same G-Money jewelry, really like he'd been there every day. Chris Rock and I looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Since Chris and I had a lot of lines together and we were buddies in the movie, we quickly became friends in real life. That day after they switched Juice and we knew he got fired, when we finished the read-through, they said, okay, Ice, Chris, that's a wrap. You guys can go home. Both me and Chris in unison shouted, no, we'll just stay. We'll stay. We don't want to leave. We'll stay until everybody's done for the day. Then Chris turned to me and whispered, hell no. I know they got that nigga Sinbad downstairs running through my lines in the script. God damn it, I said. They probably got Chuck D down there with a dread wig on. I'm not fucking leaving. Me and Chris and Wesley remain good friends today. I haven't seen Judd in a minute, but we're all kind of like alumni. We cut our teeth as actors in that film. Almost all of us look at New Jack City as being the breakout role of our acting careers. People still stop me in the street and say, New Jack City, or Scotty. They still walk up to Wesley and shout Nino Brown in his face. And as much success as Chris has since had with his groundbreaking stand-up concerts and hit movies, people will still call him Pookie. For a relatively small movie, it had a big impact. Of course, we didn't think about that during principal photography. Nobody ever thinks that their very first movie will still hold water 25 years later. New Jack City, along with Scarface and King of New York, had the biggest impact of any movie within the rap game. Decades later, you still see the ripples. You've still got cats rhyming about Nino Brown. You've got Lil Wayne, whose real last name is Carter, calling his album The Carter, after the housing project in the movie. The first few days on location was a pretty daunting experience. You start seeing your daily scenes in the rushes, and those images are raw. You don't have the benefit of music, effects, or editing tricks, so you've got to imagine the potential of how this scene will fit in the finished movie. Honestly, while we were filming New Jack, I didn't ever think I pulled it off. Even after we wrapped, I didn't think I did it. That made me pretty nervous and unsettled. Then I went to see the movie when it first opened, not at some red carpet premiere, but just a regular screening at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Bought a ticket, some popcorn and a soda like everyone else, and then I sat in the rear of the theater, lay back in the cut, behind some guys who looked like they were from the streets. My first moment on screen, they started heckling me. Aw, shit, look at Ice-T in that fucking hat. Motherfucker looks stupid in them dreads. But about 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, these same dudes were calling me Scotty, not Ice-T. Don't do it, Scotty. And I bust out laughing. That's when I said, oh shit, I did it. I made them believe in the character. I never went up to say hi to these dudes who've been heckling me. I just wanted to get a sense of how a real audience would react. Funny thing is, I'd fought Mario and the producers on how they wanted me to look. They wanted Scotty to have dreads and wear hats and shit. They said one of the reasons they insisted on me having dreadlocks is this. You've got an existing image. You can't look like Ice-T. Everyone knows Ice-T. We have to break that, give you another vibe. Otherwise, the audience won't allow you to be the character. That was a great lesson about acting, and it worked. At the time, the movie created a lot of controversy. It got great reviews from critics like Roger Ebert. But there was major static, too. People don't remember this much today, but at the time, there was a lot of controversy surrounding New Jack City. The film came out about 6 months before John Singleton's Boys in the Hood, and for a time at least, there was a sense that these hood movies were going to create a wave of rioting. That black folks couldn't see an action-packed movie about their own lives without going buck wild. True, there were some disturbances and violence when our movie opened in big cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Detroit. But if you check the facts, only 10 of the approximately 800 theaters screening the film experienced problems. The violence did get a lot of media play, especially after one screening in Brooklyn, where some dudes from rival housing projects busted shots at each other, killing one man and wounding a woman. Actually, the most widely reported incident occurred in Westwood Village in Los Angeles. Mann's Theater sold out tickets for the film's opening night, and a mob of pissed-off kids, frustrated that they couldn't get inside, started smashing store windows and vandalizing cars. To me, the idea that the content of New Jack City had these kids wilding out is total bullshit. If a dude is going to shoot another dude at the movies, that's been in his heart long before he sits down in the fucking theater. And more than likely, they already have some existing beef. The on-screen violence in New Jack City was much more realistic, much less of a cartoonish, shoot-'em-up kind that was in a lot of Sly Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Bruce Willis movies. And if you go back and watch it today, New Jack was one of the earliest, strongest anti-drug movies. In fact, it was almost preachy and heavy-handed in its anti-drug message. One of my major scenes has Scotty saying, "A drug dealer is the worst kind of brother. He won't sell it to his sister. He won't sell it to his mother, but he'll sell it to one of his boys on the street." New Jack City was a surprise hit. The movie was shot for just $8 million and became the highest-grossing independent film of 1992, making over $47 million. My check for the gig? I think I got $20,000. The funny part is that it led to my next movie role in Ricochet with Denzel Washington and John Lithgow. Second movie. I thought, okay, now I got a track record. Now I'm going to get paid. I went into the producer Joel Silver's office with that swagger. I didn't have to do a reading or anything. He just offered me the part. I've been lucky that way. Every movie role I've done was offered to me. I never had to audition or read for it. But when it came to paying me, I figured I could up my quote. "Ice," Joel Silver said. "Look, you've done exactly one movie. I only got about 40 grand, but for much less work. Only a handful of scenes. Shooting with Denzel was mad cool. Then, as now, Denzel was the man as far as black actors go. There was nobody more respected. And he was the quietest, most down-to-earth cat on the set. I never once felt like I was some rookie rapper and he was the trained actor who could master every role from Othello to Street Gangster. With Denzel, there was never a problem if I messed up a line. He'd just smile, give me a pound, and we'd do another take. At one point, when he could see I was really tense, Denzel even took time to come into my trailer and break it down for me. "Look, Ice," he said, "I started out in TV. I did TV movies. I did St. Elsewhere. I did local theater. Nobody starts off in the big leagues. People look at me like I've made it, but man, I still have a long way to go. Everybody has to come through a door. You're in the door, Ice. Do your best." It's not going to help the scene that the actor working with you is intimidated. Good actors need another actor's energy to vibe. If all you're vibing is another person's fear and tension, how the hell can you make the scene work? I couldn't be cast in a scene with Al Pacino and stand there staring at him completely starstruck. My God, it's Al Pacino. Once the director says action, all that reverence for the big movie star has to fly out the window. If the role says to disrespect him, I have to disrespect him, even though in real life, I hold him in high regard. If my role is written that way, then I'm going to talk to Al Pacino like he's a real piece of shit. And Al Pacino, in his reactions, is going to be egging me on. Today, I try to relate that same lesson Denzel gave me when I'm on the set of Law and Order. We'll get new kids, young actors, and they'll sit in the interrogation room, and I'll see how nervous they are. They're nervous because they don't know their lines. They're nervous that if they fuck up, Dick Wolf will never use them again. I always take them aside and tell them, "Dick, you know what? It's okay to be nervous. I'm not Ice-T here. I'm Finn. I'm supposed to be police. And we're fucking with you. So hell yeah, you're nervous. Use this." I don't exactly see myself as a mentor or trailblazer, but I'm proud of whatever role I played and kicking open the door for a generation of hip-hop artists to make that transition to the big screen. Will Smith, Queen Latifah, Common, LL Cool J. Pac did some fine roles and probably would have grown a lot with his acting if he'd lived longer. Today you've got guys like my man Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian, my friend Chino XL, Ludacris, Method Man. Too many rappers to mention have proven they've got the acting chops to make it in feature films. But among us all, there are only two box office draws, Will and Latifah. That's real talk. I'm no box office draw. I may have a bit of TV buzz. I know Dick Wolf respects my game. But to be categorized as one of those A-list Hollywood actors who can get a movie greenlit on your name alone, to negotiate your deal so that your name appears above the title, that's real juice. That's clout. Of male black actors from the hip-hop generation, only Will Smith has got it like that. For the rest of the rappers, yeah, you can be in the movie, get a juicy part, a sizable check, and your own trailer on the set. But don't get it twisted. You ain't the reason folks paid $10 and sat their asses down in that multiplex theater. Part 4. Freedom of Speech. God damn. What a brother gotta do to get a message through to the red, white, and blue. Body count. 10. My friends all know one thing about me. I can never sit still. I have a really low threshold for boredom. It's pretty ironic considering that acting and recording can be such monotonous professions. Quiet as it's kept, I actually hate recording. The only part of rapping that's fun to me is performing live, to get a crowd going buck wild, waving their hands in the air, shouting along to your lyrics. But when you're in the studio, doing take after take, punching in little mistakes in your vocals, that's tedious as fuck. I hate the time that's required to be a perfectionist in the studio. I like coming in and laying my vocals down quick. I'm not one of those artists that likes to sit in there for 2 or 3 days just to make one song. Rev Run said once that he wishes he could write the rap, throw it into the air, and it would end up instantly on the radio so he could hit the road and perform it live. All the work that goes into polishing the record, that's pure tedium. Good producers get off on that. I'm not that dude. I like live performing. There's nothing like standing in front of an insane crowd of 20 or 30,000 people when they're feeling you. Back in the day, you had to do shows on a regular basis just to get a record deal. They used to make new artists have a showcase just so all the record executives and tastemakers could watch them perform live. Either that, or you'd be an undiscovered artist playing at a little club, and some A&R guy would decide if you could rap live before he even thought about signing you. These days, all that shit is backward. In the age of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and home studios with Pro Tools, so many artists put their own music out there and start grassroots promotional campaigns before they've ever left their bedroom or garage to perform that shit. Their first time performing live is when they've already become stars. They've got their recording and only later create a live show around themselves. I'm not saying our generation was better. It's just different. People thought MTV changed up the music business, putting the emphasis on the artist's look rather than how he sounded. But that's nothing compared to what a forum like YouTube has done. In the documentary I just shot, The Art of Rap, I say, first we were in the audio age. Now we're in the video age. You see someone's YouTube clip, some no-name kid who's got 1 million hits before you ever heard of them in the mainstream. The whole music game has become much more visually driven than audio. Back in the day, you'd hear a band's song a long time, months and months, before you even knew what they looked like.